It's quite interesting actually, just purely for the fact that both these groups or both these I guess you could say teams haven't really played any of these maps. They're going to Chalet, if I believe, first, and then Coastline. So you kind of have to think right here, right now, right? Like none of these teams have played those maps yet. None of these teams have played those maps in the group stages. The last time they played it was, of course, in their respective regional leagues, but it's you kind of have to think how is NIP going to face against SSG, and how is SSG going to face against NIP? Because both teams have looked okay, right? Both teams have looked okay, and it's funny actually because their only victory, or my apologies, their only loss, NIP in their group stages was to BDS. But I mean, at that point, I mean, NIP already qualified. They knew they were going to qualify for the quarterfinals at the minimum, so they didn't really want to show much. But the bands come in, and we have a usual one, Thatcher. Why is Thatcher banned so much? It's just purely because people just hate Thatcher. Like it's just that's just it, man. It's just that's just it. Like people just do not want to play against Thatcher because basically playing with Thatcher is easy mode. Getting those walls are just easy mode. Just chuck it as EMP or two at the wall, unless you're just bandit tricking or arcade tricking. Which even with that, you can most likely just put it with a Sophia impact charge or even grenade to kill them. But that's kind of why Thatcher's been banned a lot for those who don't know. But Ying and Valkyrie are both banned by NIP, and then SSG will be banning out Echo. Now, I think there was a decent amount of play of Echo. I specifically remember Muzi playing Echo a lot, so this is pretty reasonable from SSG. This is more or less a target ban. They also just don't want to deal with that drone because they know that NIP can use those drones on the roam or use those drones that's more or less mobile intel, a mobile, I want to say fortress of intel, but it's not really a fortress because you can just shoot it in the face. But since we do get into our game, we have an orcs pick. That jumps out to me the most, mainly because orcs really hasn't been played that much in this entire major. But well, Psycho switches out the Yana for Maverick, and well, Han Ko says Psych and goes for the Mozzie instead. It's a good choice, really. And actually, it's funny because Psycho had an Iona, and now Hot and Cold has that Mozzie. And yeah, you can say, well, they don't also have a melee. They can't do a full drone denial, right? Since they don't have that meat, but they do have that Mozzie. And especially if they capture a drone or two, they're able to get free intel, basically on the enemies if Mozzie, if Hot and Cold uses those drones correctly, if he does capture a few drones. But it's also just like, hey, my Mozzie Pest is here. If you don't want your drone to be destroyed or captured, don't jump in here, bro. Like, don't you're not that guy. Like that's kind of what reminds me. And as I say that there's no mute, I just see Skies on mute. I'm sorry, I literally like woke up like 10 minutes ago. I haven't watched the BDS versus FaZe Clan um stream yet, but for those who did, I bet it was very entertaining for you since it did went to max overtime, but ultimately FaZe won. And I'm kind of hoping that SSG wins primarily just for the fact that I want to see every single team that's in the semifinals be the representatives for their respective regions. I mean, think about it, right? FaZe is representative for Latam, Rogue is a representative for EU, Down Kia is representative for APAC, and then if SSG wins this, they're going to be the representative of North America, which they have been for a while now. I mean, honestly, a lot of people really expected them to be the only people um being the representative for NA since Oxygen lost one of their players, Fox A, due to COVID, or none really lost some, but just couldn't play. And as I'm talking about, these players are making the plays, and well, you didn't see Psycho try to go for a line on the wine wall, or the wine storage wall, I guess I can call it, and well, they just weren't successful. But NIP had basically taken basement. That is something that they are successful at. They do have ground in the map, but it's just to say that, or is it just something to say that are they going to be able to transfer it into more ground or even a killer? So they are going for second floor now, and they do have to worry about ramp and folds holding those important positions that we always see pros hold. Right? Why is Rampy is holding library with a mirror window, and then why is Fultz holding library stairs? Well, it's just mainly so Rampy can play. It's mainly so both these players can play off each other and make to where like, okay, you're holding this, I'm holding that. Let's try to kill people, yada yada yada. But I think NIP just knows that they can't really do much now, and actually no, they can't because they have found a pick against Hot and Cold. Psycho will use a grenade to confirm the kill on Hot and Cold, and that is the first pick going in favor of NIP. I don't know if NIP can attack this. It seems like they are rotating into Trophy, of course, Trophy and West Main side, and trying to do more of a horizontal take now. But 40 seconds left on the clock. They do have some time to do that. They do have some time to drone out and to use your utility correctly. But it maybe Moosey is trying to go with a rampy and with a grenade or two. It is completely possible for anything to happen now. But Pino, he finds a kill on Bosco, and the flashes come in to Rampy, and basically just flash. I don't know if Rampy will be able to make out of this, and, well, Psycho is knocked. But the fake killer would revive him, and as the G knows, with the pings, Rampy gets a kill, a refrag for probably his teammate Hot and Cold, but Skies is just holding this. There's 3 players that is near Hot and Cold, and one dies. The second one might die as well. There's a 2 from Skies for the Nitro Cell. 2v3. Both the NIP players are in, but because of SSG time wasting and also Skies being able to kill 2 people with a nitro cell, 1 being knocked to the shotgun, SSG will win all time, and that is a win for SSG 1-0. You can see right there that NIP was kind of just stalling out in a way, right? Like SSG defense was good. Um, they it just didn't really seem like they didn't know what to do. They took basement, yes, and then after that, it didn't really seem to transfer into anything that was like too snig of it, right? Like it didn't seem like anything that it seemed like it was a huge thing. Of course, they were able to get the 2 kills onto Hanako and Bosco, and that was huge. They were in a 5v3, dude, and then next thing you know, they just couldn't find any more frags besides the one onto, I believe that would be faults, if I believe so, from into games. But that's it. I mean, they could have easily gone that. They could have easily gone that. It just came down to more or less to the wire and them not being able to clear out skies and not having the intel on the skies, which happens sometimes, right? Stuff like that always happens. When you lose track of a certain player, I think they did lose track of Skies. Maybe just never have track of him at all. And then Skies was able to just use the shotgun, which is like that shotgun is really good, but for some reason it just feels inconsistent as hell. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but sometimes it feels inconsistent as hell. And Skies was able to get the double nitro, and NIP just not being able to hit their shots on them. The case diffuser and another guy dies, and, well, that was just a round for SSG. Like, if I remember correctly, Skies was just running down basement. So even if NIP was able to take site, I mean, they had to retake the diffuser, and then they had to come back to site, planet, and then they have to worry about Skies coming up from possibly snowmobile stairs or even West Main stairs. And NIP is just doing a rush into West Main. They just find entry into there, and Bosco, he knows this, but Kamikaze is rushing into the kitchen. NIP had basically taken the entirety of site for free, and the kills are going in the way of the pajamas. I said the pajamas, I meant for the ninjas. But SSG does refrag. Fultz does get Julio outside of lobby, so that's something. But there's just so many NIP players. There's so many things that these players have to do, and all of SSG besides Fultz is second floor, and without the intel, Pino kills Fultz. The last 2 are in fucking Slarium. I'm sorry, they're in Slarium now in Trophy, and it's basically just a round loss. 13 seconds left, 4v1. I mean, Hot and Cold can get a kill or 2, but that's realistically it, and the win will go into the Ninjas 1-1. Now, right there, I don't even know what's going on. I don't. I think SSG realistically just like did not like they only had 1 player on site. That's the thing about it. They had Bosco, which it isn't necessarily a really bad strategy if you only had 1 player on site if the enemy team was going for a second floor clear. The only reason why they're able to take site clear really cleanly like that, I guess you can call it. And the reason why there was only 1 player is because the other 4 were out roaming. The other 4 were either defending trophy or lobby. And, well, NIP, they saw opportunity to go through West Main and to breach site, and they then took it. They exploited it to a mile, and well, SSG just couldn't come back after that, really. Um, it's not necessarily bad to have strategies like that where you leave one player on the site, but in order for that to work, the enemy team have to play in. I guess I'm gonna say it to your role. The enemy team has to play into what you want to do. Right now, of course, they can fully counter it by just taking out all the roamers or pushing all the roamers back. Of course, that can happen, but in this case, it's just clear that SSG just thought that NIP would do something, and NIP just purely just saw opportunity, took it, and then well, now it's a round of win for NIP, but SSG is going to bounce back. I know SSG they're going to they are going to try to bounce back from this. They are playing in Master, and as Julio set up the nomads for the flanks, there is someone in kitchen. I believe that would be Rampy or maybe even Fultz, but NIP trying to find. It's gonna try to find some ground. An early grenade from Muzi does almost kill Skies, but only damage him. Um, and I also just want to thank the brilliant observers. We have like 2, 3 working on this, like on this entire like stream, and so you're able to have like multiple point of views, no kills being missed. But unfortunately, the Sledge of NIP, Pino misses the shots on Skies. And well, now there's about 3 people in site, if I remember correctly. Skies, Rampy, and then someone else. Muzi almost kills Rampy on the rotate. That's quite unfortunate. And he also had an extra ADS. That's kind of okay, but NIP is basically spread out enough to where there are just tagging second floor. I believe that there's only people tagging second floor. Early Nitro Cell, I believe, from Bosco goes off, but does not find his target, and that's quite unfortunate. Um, but the SSG is just stalling out for time. Really, this is kind of the entire point. I mean, there's an entire point for Fultz throwing that throwing that alibi prisma. It was just purely for that. Pino, he tried to enter into office, but there's a crossfire between Rampy and Skies, and Rampy gets a kill. Now in a 5v4 in favor of SSG, NIP does not really know what to do. They're all on balconies, or at least on repels. Psycho is on that big one to repel, if I believe correctly. But actually, no, it's Julio, my bad. And, well, Skies tries to see if he could get a pick onto someone who's in um, find a pick onto off his balcony, but isn't able to, and because of that, Hot and Cold pays the price for peeking in Sky's place. And well, now NIP doesn't really know what to do. 45 seconds on the clock, so it doesn't say. I mean that NIP doesn't have any time, but they kind of have to kind of hurry up in this. They can't. They have to really find ground, and it's funny actually because they've been trying to attack the second floor, try to swarm second floor, find early picks and destroy utility, and then just go in, but they couldn't able to. Rampy with the lack of well the lack of him being flash gets him killed, but everyone from NIP is just fragging out and killing everyone on the SSG side. NIP has basically just swarmed the entirety of site and taken it. And now as Bosco in a post play, 45 seconds left on the clock. It's a 3v1. We have seen clutch plays from Fulton Rampy. I want to see if Bosco can do it, and he's unable to because Kamikaze would then finish him off, and that'll be 2-1 in favor of Ninjas and Pajamas. Right there was a slow take from NIP, and it kind of seemed like NIP didn't really know what to do, but at the same time it did, right? Um, they were just like, okay, we know where all these players are, and Pino, I don't know what Pino was trying to do. I think a Psycho did not got the kill onto Han and Cold right here. That it really would have been hard to really like done anything, right? It really would have done anything. But Psycho also getting the kills on Fultz and Rampy. Psycho basically kills the top 3 performers for this entire SSG team, and if Psycho does not get those kills, his team does not pull up like that. And that just speaks to the entry level that Psycho can bring to this team. That speaks to the skill that all these players can really bring. There's like probably like 10, 15 seconds on the clock, and guess what? They're able to go into site, kill everyone, and then Bosco was the left one standing, and he was roaming, so he had to come back to site through trophy, and then he just gets shut down. And now we're here in bar. We are here in a bar. There's nothing really too interesting from NIP. They do switch out the Thermite for an Abana. They most likely have predicted that there will be a bar hold for SSG, so it's possible that they will probably try to have a player or two, maybe the Habana go to the library window, try to take out that mirror window that's protecting lobby, and then, or my apologies, library, and then after that, just kind of maybe dips, maybe try to find some intel, maybe try to get a frag or two, not completely sure, maybe try to destroy the window on on window, or my apologies, wine closet. I can't speak. I just woke up. I'm sorry, but Psycho is gonna go for an office take, or at least the office contest at the minimum. It seems like the majority of NIP is going to go for a second floor clear. That's not something that is necessarily the most unusual thing in the world. So you have seen it before. But I just want to say right now that NIP has a pretty decent chance. I mean, of course, they're facing against Skies on that smoke, and well, they do take piano pretty easily. Um, NIP does have a decent amount of ground, and when you give NIP decent amount of ground, it's always something, right? That's it's always something to really notes, right? But SSG right now is just trying to find a more time to waste, really, and but Muzi on the cross with probably Pino is gonna try to take out that player top fireplace, maybe even the player that's top library. The Flash is sing in, and it's probably to take out Skies on that position, but it's also most likely to take out the shield, especially to make it to where the position of holding libraries is going to be a little more difficult. And the grenade does go out. I think it's caught by 80, yes, unfortunately, but if it didn't, then it most likely got its shield, most likely got its target. But SSG is really just playing this smart. They're playing this a little more passive, of course. And IP is getting the intel onto these players. They know that there's the Skies is still on library stairs, and as a smoke sting under for the side of SSG and IP, there is a player I think going fireplace if I see correctly, and there will be two players downstairs. The finger boost comes in, and it might be a push. I'm not sure. Yeah, it is from the side of Pino, Psycho, and Muzi, but all of them get shut down by SSG. It's a 2v5, and there's not much that NIP could really do at this point, but a 2v5 clutch is not the most insane thing that we've seen right here, right now. Julio is in kitchen hallway, or my apologies, bar hallway, and he does get the pick into hot and cold. He does get bar for free, but he knows there is a player in wine, and well, he just has to push them. But the player from Wine does pushes out, and with the help of the window, funny enough, they are able to find a pick onto, or Julius able to find a pick onto Bosco. But Kamikaze with the diffuser is knocked. I believe, yeah, he got knocked by Skies, and he knows the intel. He knows Skies is in Mudroom right here, right now, onto the one ping. I don't know if he is gonna try to take the gunfight. Skies is gonna take the gunfight, and he kills Julio, and that will be a 2-2 in favor of SSG. We are now even. Right there, it seemed like NIP was just trying to push. Like SSG just shut down everyone on the side of NIP. Like any entries that SSG was trying to put in, or NIP was trying to put in when it comes down to even near the site, and well, they just all got shut down, all at the same time, really. And well, I don't really know if NIP could have really done much. I mean, if anything, could have hit their shots, but besides that, I mean, all these players were pushing at the same time, and because of them not clearing out, like for instance, Rampy. If Rampy is not there, not only Psycho enters in and takes top fireplace for free, basically, because at that point Rampy will be dead. But also, if Skies does kill a player from Piano, Psycho would be able to refract and kill Skies, who did eventually was able to win the round, killing Julio, and also killing the player, or killing Kamikaze with the diffuser. So right there, it was more or less a, hey, we didn't dedicate too much utility to this place, right? Muzi, I don't even know where Muzi was. I'm pretty sure Muzi was like bottom like lobby, if not off his balcony for a while, and I don't know how many of his grenades were used, and I'm assuming that they were used decent amount, but it just unfortunately they weren't able to take out the players of Rampy and Skies using holding those really important positions, and NIP gets punished for it. But NIP is gonna try to bounce back. The round has started, and They have Ring of Flores. This is the first time this round, or this game, my apologies, have Braun a Flores. And funny enough, Hot and Cold has captured a drone with that emoji. See, they are going for that anti-drone more utility, right? They do have a wall mine to protect themselves, so they don't have to bring that Jaeger, and also they have that all, which is really good. But they also have Fultz who can be used, or he can use his mute jammers not only as drone denial, but also wall denial even. And but we do have skies for that, so there's not much of a point. It seems like an SSG roam, but for Chalet, you have Vigil, you have Mozzie, and you have Mute, but Mozzie's dead because of Moozie's grenades. And well, right now, seeing how many drones, there's like 6 drones dead on the side of NIP, and there's only a minute and 55 left, but they're able to trade out a few of their drones for a free kill. And NIP has found themselves outside of the building and holding certain angles, but I'm not completely too sure if they're able to do anything. But NIP, Pino, they do try to go in to Trophy, or my apologies, office. They do take office, but he just then dies, and now all of SSG have basically retreated from the second floor. Remember, this is a bar, or my apologies, this is a snowmobile and basement hold. Alright, this is a snowmobile and basement hold. This is something that NIP is using time on and utility on to take out these roamers and to clear out these roamers so that they then complete vertical and can have a lot more control over what they can do and force SSG to basically only have sight and if anything blue. But NIP, it seems like there are rotating a few players take backside, typically do a wine take. It's possible that this is their main thing, and I think NIP, they do have Julio, and if I believe correctly, they do have Julio and maybe another player that's near second floor, or in second floor, but so far nothing has really happened. So as time is used up, I guess I can say SSG is ready for it. So as SSG is ready for the NIP push, they know that NIP is gonna be pushing this. There is 9 sets of flashbangs, and Nitro comes in and does hurt Kamikaze, but it isn't able to do anything. Fultz is on the left side of the door, prone, and NIP does not see them. He's able to kill Muzi, but Kamikaze with the diffuser, he hit his he has lost his healer, and he isn't able to kill the Walmart in wine, but Bosco is able to get the kill, a 2v1 for Julio. This isn't impossible, but with the time and just time running out, NIP isn't able to do anything, and that will be SG round 32. You can see that SSG is able to like waste time, right? Like, there's a reason why people think that SSG is good, and that's the reason why. Like I honestly I think it's just intel for NIP. Like what I mean by why is SSG good is that SSG is able to use their operators and their utility to the fullest, and of course a lot of teams can do that. We know for a fact that NIP can do that. We know for a fact that BDS and FaZe can do that. Like, we know these teams can pretty much do it. But I mean, look at that. The intel dude, like how, like he literally gets a wall bang onto a player from below with because of a red ping. You're telling me that's not insane? But honestly, I think Muzi taking the first pick there was actually kind of, I don't want to say BS, if that makes sense, but I think that is fair in the terms, because they were, I'm sorry, they were able to use a grenade to get a kill, right? Which is always something, but they then lose another set of grenades. So it's not like they did win 1v1, yes, but they did lose Pino, who had, I'm pretty sure, both grenades still in pocket. And then you had NIP that had like 3 sets of flashbangs, and they just weren't able to use them. It's like they were just like, flashbangs, who need those? And then they just didn't use them. But they did switch out one of their players, one of those I don't remember who they brought, but they did brought in Flores. They did switch out someone for Flores, and even with the Flores, they just didn't have the intel. They just weren't able to come in like that, and that was because of SSG roam and how SSG try to develop themselves in a way when it comes down to the rounds. They bring Vigil for that counter intel for the roamers. They didn't bring Mozzie for the anti intel that they can have, taking out intel, but also so they can have intel themselves. They could possibly, with those captured drones, gather intel themselves. I'm not gonna be surprised if that red ping, that Rampy, the kill that Rampy was able to get on Pino was actually a monster draw. I'm not gonna be surprised. But NIP using Lucy, or my apologies, Nook right here, and Fultz knows that. Like you cannot fool this man's Fultz. Fultz knows his crap, man. He knows his crap. Like you're telling me this isn't insane? And Pino is able to refrag onto Skies, killing one of the top fraggers for SSG currently, but now NIP has lost one of their entries and lost another set of grenades. They've lost 2 grenades, and I'm pretty sure they have lost a lot of grenades in the last like a few rounds they've played. These players of NIP that die eventually, like Pino and now Psycho, who has these grenades, aren't able to use them, and it's really unfortunate on the side for NIP that is happening. But they do have 2 other sets of grenades, but it's hard to really tell, especially when you have the drone game of NIP. They only have 3 drones left, dude. And it may be any other drones that are out there, but they only have 3 drones left. And maybe Psycho is able to deploy all of his drones before he dies, but we're not completely sure. Grenade goes out from Moose. He does try to take out anything that's on the. I'm guessing anyone who's either in office on the office with double walls, or yeah, on the mute jammer on the office wall. But NIP is trying to take this, but they do have to worry about Rampy that is in bathroom. And it's not completely sure that if they know this, they are droning out bathroom, and from the red pings they are able to know this. And well, Muzi with the grenade, like see, like that is the grenade play that we need to see from NIP. All right, we need to see more grenade play like that. He forces Rampy to run away with the grenade, and then he just shoots him in the back. Beautiful play from Muzi right there. Like you cannot tell me that isn't. But the man count is in favor of NIP for the first time in a while, I think. But well, besides the times they have won rounds, of course, but it is unclear if they are going to win this round. But Hot and Cold, he does see Julio, but Julio, he just does not see anything. 10 seconds left on the clock. NIP does try to enter into sight, but SSG is able to just take 2 out of the 4 players out of NIP. But SSG is able to, or NIP is able to go into say and try to plant, but Kamikaze just isn't able to get the plant down, and he dies. Pino tried to cover his teammate, but just couldn't, like anything, like nothing could have literally happened, and that's a round for SSG 4-2 right now. That is the half in favor of SSG. See, like SSG is just gaining the first picks right there, and they're gaining the first picks on really important players. They're getting first picks on people like Psycho and Pino who has those grenades, and it's not only that; it's one of their entries. Like they're losing the entry fights, and they're able to refrag, of course, but like right there, they're able to refrag, and it's funny actually because they had the man account, but Giulio for some reason was just oblivious, and Muzi wasn't able to hit his shots. Pino wasn't able to hold his teammates cover, and it just feels like the mental for NIP is just not there. It just feels like they're not there because we have seen plays like that. We have seen, for instance, I believe that was, I'm not sure, Fultz, I think. No, I think it was Hot and Cold, maybe. I'm not completely sure, but we've seen plays like that where Hot and Cold, or whoever was the actually I do believe it was Hot and Cold, will run up to the diffuser guy and kill him. We have seen times where NIP has shot people in the head who in rounds like that where NIP has that is in the back foot for the first half, but then in the second half takes the main advantage, is able to run it with them, is able to push it to where they're able to have a round win right there. But they're faced against SSG. They're faced against the last hope of NA, and honestly, the best team, if not at least at the minimum, the second best team going into this major, right next to Oxygen, of course. But um, it's hard to really say what they can do. Of course, it's actually kind of interesting because statistically, Chalet is attacker sided. Chalet is way more attacker sided than anything, and now SSG is on the attacking half, and it's right now it just seems like NIP's attacking half really wasn't that strong. Slash SSG just being able to SSG's defense being really good, but SSG, they do go for library now. They also do for second floor clear. It's similar to how it's it's similar to what NIP has done before, but they brought on the Twitch and they were able to take out 2 ADSs, I believe, or at least a ADS and a mute jammer. And Cycle was able to trade out the utility, sure, but That's huge. Like if one grenade and a grenade goes in to take out a Psycho, then I mean Psycho is dead, but Psycho isn't dead actually. In fact, Psycho with an aggressive peak kills Skies, and that is the harbinger for SSG killed in only less than 2 minutes left for the round. That is actually insane. Is that a Pixel Peak? Oh my god, a Pixel Peak was hold by Psycho, and oh my god. Yeah, okay, that was just crazy. I guess SSG is trying to find the ground now. I do believe they are trying to go for a library, at least a second floor take, but as you see, there's two people droning and another one oh, SSG is able to take second floor. I was gonna say Skies is droning, but no, he's spectating hot and cold. Um Lucky thing for SSG is that Cycle decided to rotate away from top fireplace and basically give SSG this crown. SSG does have a minute and 10 left, now a minute and 5 to basically just drone out, see where what they can do. And the good thing is that they do have that Twitch and also that Iona, which is kind of funny because we kind of saw the Iona kind of absent from the side of NIP, or at least the importance of Iona and using her drone at least. Um, Fultz still has his drone, but Rampy is able to get a kill on Kamikaze. There is a player down on basement stairs and another one in dining. It's hard to really say if anything, but Bosco, not knowing where Pino is, dies. Rampy also dies to a player upstairs, but Hot and Cold is trying to cover his teammate. He is trying to also find a refrag for his lost Bosco, his lost Nomad player. But Hot and Cold, the plays, the calls has come out. Just forget me. Rampy is just saying that, and well, because of it, NIP was able to take out all of the SSG players one by one, and well, that is the round for NIP. 4-3 now, and so I think realistically the only thing that happened there was the Intel game, right? Now I do believe they had a Mozzie, if not at the minimum on mute, and it just seemed like the drone game from both teams have been okay, but I mean for instance like Pino, if I remember, who was playing Jaeger, he was able to kind of just stay in to dining kind of unimpeded, and Bosco just didn't know where he was. It was the same thing with the flanks. It just right there was also a shot that really crippled the side of SSG. They really needed their hard breach, but just look at that. Like Bosco didn't know where Pino was. It just doesn't really seem like the drone game was completely too strong, and I'm not sure how Rampy died. I'm guessing from the flank, but Hot and Cold with the intel from Bosco does know where the dining or yeah the dining player is, but ultimately NIP does finish off Hot and Cold, and realistically, it just comes down more or less to winning the gunfights. I mean, if you look there, Fultz, if I remember correctly, who took the gunfight with Muzi, like if he won that gunfight against Moose and he got Rampy up, that is a 3v3. And then Hanako getting that kill onto the player into dining, that's a 3v2. And right there, it's possible that maybe even Hanako wouldn't even be that aggressive because Hanako right there, like he was pretty much in a 1v3. He had to go, he had to try to find the picks, and he was able to find one, but he just wasn't able to find any more. And right there was just kind of NIP's defense. Right now, it's just really pretty much a defender-sided Chalet, which is kind of funny because we always seen, at least statistically, Chalet being way more attacker-sided. But I guess you can't have everything in life if you want an attacker-sided Chalet. But if you do want a defender-sided Chalet, well, here you go. Um, it's kind of funny because SSG, and I have said it previously, they haven't really played this during the entirety of the Mexico Major. I will try to at least pull up some statistics to see when was the last time both of these teams have played, but it's more or less just interesting, isn't it? To really see how like these little plays from both teams gone. I mean, and how these gunfights, if they gone the other way, how differently rounds would be going, right? And to be fair, I'm not really the best person to really sit here and to point out every single small detail to you because this is my first time. This is my third time actually doing this. If I should be correcting myself, but yeah, SSG. They do attack Slurium for side first, which is kind of interesting. I think they do have a player on bathroom balcony, but oh no, Julio finds 2 kills. The lineup. Oh, and also the T5 SMG on Legion just being so deadly. No, I don't know what happened. It seemed like Rampy just did, or it just seemed like Rampy just did not cared and I don't maybe he did not know or maybe he did know and just believe that Julia won't peek out like that. That is a huge misplay from Rampy there. The Rampy was holding the bathroom door. Then it's possible that he will be able to kill Julio. And right there, Pino's able to kill Han Code and knock. And Julio is knocked. It's a 2v5. Your Bosco, the entirety of SSG is just falling right now. There's not much really SSG can do. Foss is trying to do something, but he just can't. He's reloading. He's trying to find rounds in his mag so he can be able to kill everyone on NIP, and he just isn't able to. And I don't. I okay. That was a huge misplay from Rampy there. All right, if he was looking at bathroom and he kills Julio, that's not only a man advantage for SSG, but that is someone that who who we know got a multi kill, who we know killed. I think 3 people, if I believe correctly, or at least 2, who was able to kill the Iana, and then I think. We will actually see the replay here, who was able to kill Iana in Skies, who then also downed the diffuser, and everyone was like, okay, we're surrounding the diffuser, like SSG, you're not taking back the diffuser, and you could just see right there, SSG was just trying to like, they're just trying to find the picks. They're just trying to find ground, enough ground for them to take the diffuser and probably kill a few NIP players. But Bosco, like you see, he just repelled in with not much intel. The only intel that he had was the intel that was given to his teammates because they died, and well, that's not good enough intel because Kamikaze comes up trophy stairs and shoots Bosco coming out of the repel. I believe it is a tag timeout. I think the SSG's coach Lakin or Laxon. I don't know how to say his name. I'm stupid, but Laxon, if I remember correctly, to say his name. He does seem to be talking with his teammates. There is a tactical pause for SSG. It's a 4-4 in a favor of NIP. This is a very defender-sided match so far in the like on the side of Chalet. And like I said, statistically, Chalet has been more or less just been statistically. My apologies. I'm realistically just like kind of I'm not really there. Um, Statistically, Chalet is more attacker sided with a 50% attacking rate, and people might say 50% attacking rate or over 50% attacking rate, and you might say if over 50% attacking rate, well that's 50-50 if defender side have the other side. Other 50%, and it is, but you have coastline, for instance, that have if I remember correctly, a 53 points or 53% attacking rate, and or yeah, 53% attacking rate, just over the average. I guess I can say over half of attacking rounds or rounds are in the favor of attacking, but um I can't speak. My apologies, but basically my point is that Chalet is more attacker sided, and you might even realize that in your games as well that um people are able to win on attack way more easily than the defense, and that's kind of how the map is structured. But especially here in Pro League, I mean, I remember especially when Chalet was first introduced into the map pool in the 6 Invitational 2021, like. I'm pretty sure, like the huge discussion over Chalet is the fact that it was attacker sided, and it was kind of like coastline in the sense of window play is kind of important, but it was also the new consulate because you had the third floor, or in this case you had the second floor, the third floor, whatever you want to call it. You had the top floor having like needing window play. Like if you want to attack master, you have to have some form of window play, or at least do a split take like how they're doing right now. And if I'm enough, you can do the same thing with console. You can do a split take, or you can do a window slash window play, or even a window play and a split take. But SSG, they do find themselves into trophy. 4 players are either in library or outside of or in top fireplace. I said trophy, my apologies. But NIP, they seem ready for it. They do have some intel onto the players from SSG. They do seem like they know what they're doing, but at the same time, they only maybe know maybe 2, maybe 1. They don't really know the full attack. But Hot and Cold, I think he was on maybe off his balcony, maybe big window. Now he's rotating to help his team over at library. It seems like a full library taker. Maybe he's not completely too sure. No, it does seem like Hot and Cold is gonna take, or is gonna either try to take trophy from below, or is gonna try to play back from balcony. But SSG, with 115 in the round, they do have a decent amount of time to kind of drone in more. And I think almost a kill for Han and Cold. It was a split second earlier, and they do know that there is a player at least at the minimum that is on back from balcony. But Julio, he hits his shots on Han and Cold, and now that is the main advantage for NIP. It's just, I don't really know what much to say here, but Julio does not, or Rampy does not expect Julio to run out like that, and that is a 5v3 in favor of SSG. It just doesn't really seem like SSG really knows what to do, but Kamikaze's defense is really good. I think we're just seeing a pretty much a defender side of Chalet here, ladies and gents, and unfortunately for SSG, they're in a 5v2, and well, the future is in Fult's side, but Fultz isn't able to hit the shots onto Pino. He is able to, but 4v2, with 17 seconds left on the clock, I don't think it's possible for SSG to really pull this up. SSG is going to try to take this, but unfortunately, I'm losing Pino, expecting a piano take, I guess is there, people to push piano is in the favor of SSG, is in the favor of NIP, and unfortunately, I think NIP just really is finding out SSG strategy quick. I mean, they know that SSG is most likely gonna have someone play either bottom trophy or play the back from balcony. That's why Julio is placed in hot and cold, and like you see those small like positioning things, right? Like you saw how Rampy he then rotates back from balcony to kind of not only help hot and cold. If hot and cold was still alive, would have helped hot and cold to put pressure onto back from balcony, but also just if Hanako does die, and so he does die, that he's able to refractor Hanako, or at least put more pressure, or put pressure onto bathroom and piano, that how Hanako was trying to do it, um and it's just like right now, SSG is just more or less just getting found out quick. We will have a tech pause, so this will allow the 5 players of SSG to talk. Will also be the 5 players of NIP. Unfortunately, the coaches during tech talks or tech pauses won't be able to win. Won't be able to talk to their teammates, unfortunately. But if you want to look at the round difference so far, it's just been in the favor of defense. You have like only 2 rounds so far won by the defense, and if you actually see right here right now, like how you say it, 5, or my apologies, 6 out of the 9 rounds that we've played so far in this game has been won by kills. Now, of course, it came down to the wire. Of course, like majority of these rounds have pretty much down to the wire. Besides, I think the one round, I think it was round 8 when SSG, Sky, and Rampy tried to go into trophy, and then they just both die from, if I believe, Julio. But um, the only time when any of these players were able to play the ejective, or was able to get the case down, was funny enough on NIP's attack. They were able to get the case down and take out all the remaining SSG players, and then SSG was able to win by time 2 times on their defense, and that is something right there, that SSG is able to waste a lot of time on their defense, but on their attack, at least for Chalet so far, hasn't really been strong, and it's either it's both attacks for NIP and SSG is just not strong, it's just not that good, or yeah, or this is just a really defender-sided Chalet. It's kind of hard to really say, but you can also see in the cams after round wins, where you see players like fist pumping and all happy. The momentum seems to be in NIP's favor, of course, but SSG, they do seem like they're at least like not, I don't want to say resilient, but it's kind of like they're kind of chilling. I'm sure that SSG is talking, and I'm pretty sure SSG is taking this time to kind of talk about what's going on, and talk about, like, okay, how can we counter these plays. um of course, nothing changed. They do, besides Fultz bringing Finca. I do believe he was bringing the line before, and now he brings the Finca, but nothing different inside of NIP as well. They bring the similar operators. They bring that Wamai and Jaeger. most likely to counter the grenade play that SSG is leaning into. I mean, the back utility like grenades and flashbangs are so important in terms of how rounds are win. I mean, we've seen flashbangs completely win rounds. I remember actually a few days ago, if not at this point 5 days ago, I remember I was in a 2v1 and well, I was able to find, or I was in a 1v3. I was able to find my 2 kills, but guess what? I used flashes to flash the last guy, run up to him, and then just kill him. And if a scrub like me, if a silver like me is able to do that, let's get that out of the way. If a silver like me it was able to do that, I mean, come on, come on. I'm sure that top level players like Fultz or Pino is able to do that, and you can also see that there's rounds where NIP has won. If I remember correctly, one of their attacking rounds, a few attacking rounds they have won, has been purely because of that grenade play. But it's also that there's rounds where NIP has lost purely because they don't have enough attacking play. I don't know why Rampy done that. I think it's to set up a vertical hold that they can possibly use later on, maybe onto um fireplace, top fireplace. I'm not completely too sure, but they are attacking bar here, and there are reinforcements and players that are holding down basements. So that is something. NIP does know that SSG is going to go for basement, which is, I mean, everyone goes for basement at this point. It's to make that Maverick hole that you can make in wine storage. If I think it's called correctly, I give my call sometimes mix up. My apologies, but so far SSG is trying to find their way into the map, and now the Maverick hole comes in, and there and NIP knows that they aren't able to do anything. But guess what? If the flashes they go into games, I think SSG is executing right here, right now. No, I don't think they are. I think it's mainly to clear out any ADSs. That's quite unfortunate. The 3 flashes of skies have been used. I think it's been used to maybe clear out utility. I'm not completely sure, but the Gauntlet 6 on Fultz is able to clear out a Malusi charge, and if you actually see how much utility they have to, that SSG has to clear, they have to clear out the Malusi, and then I think they have to clear out maybe they have to clear out the Malusi, and then they have to burn out the Jaegers and Bombers in order for them to do that. And then maybe take out Mu Jammers if they can't shoot, and maybe even Legion traps if they can't shoot. Julio is holding Library Stairs, and these players for NIP is just kind of playing more or less passive, just letting SSG come to them, and which is good because they're letting SSG come to them, and in the way they're setting that tempo, right? They're setting that tempo of like, hey, we're not gonna peek you, you have to peek us, and we're just gonna take the gunfights, all right? Like when we know that we can't take them, we're gonna take the gunfights. But and Moosey thinks he could take the gunfight against Rampy, but loses that gunfight. Now the main advantage is in SSG. We haven't had the main advantage be in SSG's favor in I think like 4 rounds, and now Rampy is taking it. Rampy's able to just frag out. Fultz is able to enter in the bar. NIP does not know where Fultz or Rampy is, and the 3 players for SSG, the 3 I think highest rating players, or one of the highest rating players for SSG, Hot and Cold, Rampy, and Fultz is able to find their way into sight and take out everyone. Right there is just how important intel is, because Pino, if I believe correctly, who was playing the Jaeger, he did not know where Fultz was. Um, Sure, Moosey did knew where Rampy was. He just wasn't able to win the gunfight. That was more or less just Rampy winning his gunfights at that point, or the gunfight more or less being in favor of Moosey, since Rampy was pretty much holding an angle, and it was the same thing with there. With Rampy, he just flicks onto a unexpected NIP player, and all of these NIP players are losing gunfights that they just don't know that they're losing gunfights, mainly because they don't know where SSG is. They lost track over the SSG, and they're just trying to hold sight, man. They're just trying to hold second floor in sight, and they just die from it. Honestly, they all get pushed by SSG, and well, the moment that SSG had the main advantage, I mean, the moment that SSG killed those 2 players upstairs, that was when NIP just lost, because right there, SSG can then execute on site with, I believe like 40, 30 seconds, maybe 20 seconds left on the clock, and they were able to just swarm the entirety of site and kill NIP. The only reason, or the only way how NIP can take that is take that round is if NIP if let's say for instance Julio or Pino sees the player on the folds, or sees folds, kills a Rampy, and then maybe like has like a 3K, or NIP or SSG timing wise it wasn't completely perfect, and because of that, they lose like really important players like Skies, for instance, or Rampy. That is one of their entries, or even Fultz on that Finca. But it's funny actually because Fultz has been switching between operators. I believe that he's played Twitch, Lion, and Finca so far during this attacking half. During compared to, say, Han and Code, who's only selected Maverick and Sledge. Bosco has been on the Nomad and the Rampy and any of those guys on Habana, yada yada. But Kamikaze is the only one, and Pino, actually, my apologies, the only one that will be switching out. And it's funny actually because Kamikaze switches out for Walmart for Smoke, and Pino Jaeger for Thunderbird, and it's not necessarily a bad play, but you don't have any utility that can counter um frag grenades or flashbangs. And yes, SSG does not have six sets of grenades, sure, but they do still have Rampy and Hanko with those two grenades, so it's going to be very interesting to see if they're able to do anything. Foles tries to take out the stuff on the wall, but it seems like Muzi does it for them, and Muzi does try to find a pick onto Bosco outside of fireplace or lobby, whatever you want to call it, but SSG, Rampy, and Foles does find their way into high wave or piano hallway if you want to have more other calls for it. One grenade goes out from Rampy, and 120 on the clock, and SSG still has a decent amount of time. Um, they are, of course, this is a kitchen defense. We must stay right here, right now. So SSG is trying to both take not only second floor, but they also are trying to take first. And beautiful smoke work from Foles. He's able to block all left sight of line or line of sight that if NIP had access to, that maybe they would have easily killed Foles, or maybe it would have been more or Fultz would have possibly been more cautious and maybe not push in like how he did. But NIP is just trying to hold the ground. NIP is able to hold Trophy in the backside of sight, but Julio does find Fultz, but Rampy is able to refrag. I think flashes are coming in, and no, Skies does not see where NIP, or the Skies does not see where Julio is, and he dies from it. I think he barely sees the player, and he just does not look. He just thinks that screw it, I'm gonna ignore this player because maybe he thinks he was still a flash. I'm not completely sure. Of course, Rampy was able to find a pick on him, but then Rampy dies himself. It's 8 seconds left on the clock, and IP is just holding is able to hold their ground, and SSG just all lose their gunfights, and they're unable to do anything. If you ask me, the reason why SSG lost that is because Skies looked the other way, and not only that our heart reacher died, but it was also that if Skies found out or found the player in bathroom, then it's completely possible that right there, like SG could have possibly won. Of course, Rampy was right behind them, but I mean, you have to think because of Pino being able to refrag his teammate Julio. I mean, I think even if Rams or Rampy was able to kill Julio and then Pino just didn't kill Rampy, I don't know. I think NIP will still won that just purely because they still have trophy, and then they need to clear out the trophy player. And then you have to deal with sight, and then there's like almost like 10, 15 seconds left on the clock, so you kind of have to go. And unfortunately for SSG, all five of the players tried to go, but they just couldn't win the gunfight. Sky's right there losing a really important gunfight, and ultimately NIP just being able to break the attack of SSG. We find ourselves winning another defense. So far, I think we have won maybe 5 attacks, if that makes sense. We've probably won 5 attacks, and we are now on, if I believe correctly, round 12 match point for NIP. If NIP does win this, we will be going to, or NIP will be winning the pick, map pick of SSG, and NIP will be, and these teams will be going to Coastline, and that is the pick for NIP. And I'm not completely sure how strong it is for SSG. I'm not completely too sure. I said I will have stats on any any Coastline shenanigans, I guess you can call it, for you guys. But Sonics, so far, SSG versus Sonics. on Playdate 2 of the NEL Stage 3. SSG had played against Sonics, like I said, and they lost against Sonics 7-5. Um, but I will be focusing on the game now. I didn't know what the hell happened, but SSG was able to find the man advantage. It's kind of funny, isn't it? Because like when you're on the attack for some reason, like you're able to set, like when you're on the attack, you're able to set the tempo, right? Like you're able to set the tempo because um you you set the tempo by how fast and how slow you attack, right? At different stages of the round. SSG finding Muzi trying to play more aggressive, trying to find a pick refrag for his lost teammate, but because of Moose being a little bit over aggressive and maybe him looking the wrong way, I guess I could say it, he isn't able to find the kill onto the Folds, but Psycho does refrag onto Han and Code. Han and Code not knowing where Psycho is. Now Psycho have taken Library. This is a bar defense, so majority like everyone from NIP who was holding second floor either retreated like Psycho or like Pino and Muzi just died. And 110 on the clock. SG so far has been able to take library side, which is a good thing for them. I believe that SSG will now try to execute on the site, or at least ready themselves on to executing on the sites, setting themselves up. But Hot and Cold, I'm pretty sure Hot and Cold, if anything, maybe used up one grenade and lost the other, and that's quite unfortunate. You also lose one of the top fraggers for SSG so far, but SSG is using their play correctly, and a beautiful nitro from Kamikaze kills Rampy. That is the top fragger for SSG. And I'm pretty sure SSG or Rampy didn't even use one of his grenades as well. He was keeping them in pocket just in case. But Skies is playing vertical. Bosco is in a kitchen hallway, and we don't know what's gonna happen next. Faults is gonna try to go through Mudroom. Are gonna try to surround sites, and it's completely possible for them to do this. But NIP is not giving them in the ground. 14 seconds or 15 seconds left on the clock. SSG Skies, he tries to enter into site. Psycho's able to find the kill into Bosco into kitchen hallway, but well, I don't know what the hell happened. I think the Nitro Cell was just really timed. I think it was the unfortunately the wall back that screwed them over, and NIP was able to hold their ground. A 7-5 victory in the favor of NIP, and that is SSG's map pick in the favor in the favor of the winning in NIP's favor. So right there was just a really defender sided it was a really defender sided uh chalet right there, which is not like impossible to have because tactical shooters like Siege, like CS:GO, like Valorant are naturally defender side. The defender side will always have the advantage because the attacking side is coming to them. The attacking side is coming to uh the attacking side is coming to the defending side, right? So defending side can just let the attacking side set the tempo, or better yet, defender side can actually set the tempo, and they can be aggressive. They can try to do what Pino and or well, I'm assuming Pino and definitely Muzi was doing. Try to be aggro, try to like frag out, try to kill these guys. But unfortunately for them, NIP it was unfortunate for SSG. NIP was just better, and we will now be going to map 2 chalet or coastline. I'll see you there. So we come back after the game, after the analyst desk, and I feel like the analyst desk has pointed out a few things. I honestly I agree with Bikini on this point that I think NIP is just going to win this. Like because here's the thing, all right. If you want to go back to, I think it was the Team One versus Rogue game. Fresh, if I remember correctly, who said this. He said that this is like best of threes and best of fives in an extension. I'm guessing. Is basically is not only how good your map pool is, it's also like about the momentum and the mental that you will have going into every single map, right? So NIP just won 7-5. Yeah, they won 7-5, right? And it was basically a back and forth, right? It was basically back and forth until NIP found out SSG. They were like, okay, these players can't frag like that. The strategy's great, but they just can't frag out like that. So I'm just gonna, you know, um. But now we're here in coastline, right? We're here in coastline. We're now in the band phase, and I just want to say real quick that I don't have the stats necessarily. I literally took an hour break before I done this, and then I haven't even pulled up the stats. I am the best at doing this, but if I want to go back, let's say we do go back, um, for an example, I know that um SSG has played Coastline once. Straight up, like only once. These guys have played Coastline only once, and that was against the Sonics, losing to Sonics 7-5 on Playdate 2 of the NEL, Stage 3, right? And then me just going through this already, I see two Coastline games. And then we can get into the bans now. The bans are Lion, Thatcher, Walmart, and Cade. Cade, you ban him mainly because of the walls that Cade can get. I'm thinking mainly of the triple wall protecting service. Walmart is a really good ban. I mean, he's kind of like uh turd of he's pretty much just like Jaeger, if Jaeger did something else. I guess I can say I'm not sure, but um, Thatcher as usual. But Lion has been having a really like strong pick rate. Or been had a pretty healthy presence here on Coastline. It's mainly because of um how the um how the attackers can basically attack the roamers, how they can clear out the roamers with the help of the lion. Lion has always been that roam clearing, like, no, I don't want to say monster, but he's been someone who's been really good at roam clearing. But compared to, let's say, other operators, like, let's say Jackal, for instance, he might not be that good. But Lion and I will say Lion and Jackal do have their own like differences. Jackal, he's able to ping his ping um enemy players. For let's say Lion can do the same thing, but requires on the defenders going around town or whatever. Um, but looking at the stats right now, I'm trying to gain some stats. Um, Coastline has been played 2 times, and it's funny actually because Chalet was played 3 times back in Brazil, and then I'll try to do the Copa League sooner or later. But yeah, so we go into the round. I think Psycho is going for early Nitro play, which is very interesting to see. Um, if he did got a kill onto, let's say, a Rampy, for instance, that would be or Rampy or Foles. Realistically, that's a lot of utility lost, especially with Foles who has those grenades in Gone 6. You don't want to really lose that utility early on, along with the extra drones. But um, NIP just try to hold their ground. It seems like SSG is going to try to do more of a hookah play, and I didn't realize that they have a blitz. Guys is on blitz with the diffuser. And it seems like he is talking to his teammate right next to him. And Pino, he gets the kill on Rampy with a C4. 2 C4s are used up. No more plant denial for the side of what for the side of NIP. And as I say that, Julio, no, a good call from Psycho. Psycho said that SSG is rushing them with a blitz, so Julio came to help and killed the blitz for Psycho. Of course, Psycho dies regardless of the point, but he basically helped his teammate get a pick, which is a very good thing. We are seeing a Nitro kill right now, and I'm guessing that was either from sound calls or maybe there's some intel that was outside. Oh, actually, no, Julio. Yeah, Julio came from Sunrise. So that's something. Um, or Blue Bar. My apologies, but SSG does seem to more go for a who could take than anything. Julio is still on the roam though. He's in office, and he can probably play more spoiler for the SSG push. Of course, Rampy has died by Nitro, and Sky's died from Julio, so it's possible that that's the only kill that Julio will then get. But there is another roamer right near Julio, near I said courtyard, and also I think in kitchen. So it kind of leaves the I think the defense kind of a little more weakened because there's not many players on or that is near kitchen. Actually, as I said that, I just realized that it's not a hookah take; it's a kitchen take. I don't know. I don't know why I thought that it was kitchen, or I saw it was hookah. But my apologies. um, But SSG, they rotate to try to take kitchen for a horizontal take, but everyone from NIP is in sight. So my apologies, people. But there's still someone in office, and that Julio player, the office player, Julio, he takes out Hot and Cold. That's an important frag, but Fultz he refrags, taking out. I think it is the I can't even see because of the camera, but Kamikaze takes out Bosco. Fultz he does refrag, and he's in the 2v1. He knows where the office player is. He does try to go into sight, try to take out the diffuser, but with 5 seconds left on the clock, he's not going to be doing anything. And this is a round for NIP squarely. Um, it's truly unfortunate for SSG. Right there, I think just NIP knew what SSG was gonna go for. Really, like they found out SSG pretty quickly. They knew that they're gonna do something. I believe that the Blitz was six picked on though. I'm not completely sure if it was necessarily something that wasn't six picked, but as NIP just was able to find out SSG. That's all. SSG. Honestly, I want to say that they should have been going for more of a full-on second floor push. If anything, um, I think that would be very much fair to say that they should have went for a full-on second floor push to compare, let's say, what they did, where it was like they tried to take Hookah and then they also tried to take Sunrise, which isn't necessarily a bad strategy, but they just got found out very quickly. And you can kind of see, for instance, Bosco, he didn't really know what to do. He got pushed by, I believe it is I don't actually know who it is. Actually, my apologies. Um, be that player like you see like Bosco just got caught flashing his Kamikaze. My apologies. Kamikaze just like catches Bosco off and basically kills him while he's flashing, and it feels like that. And we saw it in the last map that it feels like these like the SSG players are just like they getting found out and then they're dying from places they don't really even expect. It seems like that though SSG is a strong team, they're not so strong to the point where they're able to keep up with NIP, and especially with the momentum that NIP has, the mental momentum that NIP has, and that they won their game, and they know that they're one map off, right? So they're good. And SSG not wanting to lose his map, because if they lose his map, they then go home, and all of NA is just all of NA as a region is out of the tournament, and SSG is realistically the only people left to counter this, and SSG is the only like team left for NA that will give them hope. I'm not sure what the hell is going on with Sky's forest drone, but okay. SSG is trying to clear out this roam. It's they're doing the dirty work. Every player is trying to do the dirty work. They are getting a decent amount of intel though. A nice drone from Rampy, if I believe it is, who owns the drone, and um, they know where these roamers are, but these roamers are backing off. Han Code, he's holding the angle, gets the kill on Julio, and that's the first pick in the favor of SSG. I do believe that this game is going to be close, 8-6 to be sick, but I think at the end of the day, NIP, because of the momentum, they are going to take this, right? Um, so, but we come back. We come back to, um, I don't even know what we're coming back to, really. We're still coming back to the roam clear, really, and SSG is just kind of taking their time. It's not necessarily a terrible thing because I mean, you want to make sure that the entire map is clear, but um, right now it just doesn't really feel like SSG is trying to take the site. And with a minute and 20 left, as I say that, Rampy is now playing vertical from below with the buck, and Fultz also try to get some intel on the if any players are in base. Fultz is watching for a flank, and so far, NIP looks to be in the favor, but then again, they have lost a player in Julio. They lost a really good player in Julio, and Han Code also takes out Psycho. That's one of your another entry players that you don't want to lose. But Muzi, Kamikaze, and Pino, all these players can frag out. They're out here like that. They're basically out here like that. But so far, because of because the defense is in uh because NIP is defending, it seems like it's in their favor, even if they lost a player. But unfortunately, SSG they collapsed onto site. Hard Code being able to get 3K, that's a really important 3K that SSG needed. They need someone to pop off. They need someone to come in and to take these gunfights and win them pretty much. And it's kind of weird because it feels like, before it was the gunfights really. It more or less felt like the gunfights um, that SSG wasn't winning some of the times. And if SSG, I feel like if SSG won a decent amount of gunfights, I mean, they could have easily just they could have possibly win or possibly like they could have done a lot of things. I said 3K. My apologies of 4K. But my point still stands. SSG needs someone to take these gunfights, and it's not like any of these players aren't bad. Hot and Cold, Fultz, Rampy, all these players are great. And yeah, Bosco and Skies, they're also great. Don't get me wrong. Like kill wise, they're also great. I'm pretty sure Skies was like one of the top performing players. Um, I think like third. If not like the third in the leaderboard for SSG last map. And it's not like any of these players are garbage, but so far SSG before was on the back foot, but that's mainly because Chalet, it's though they haven't Chalet hasn't been played by NIP through this entire event. Same thing with SSG. It just seems like Chalet for SSG is not that strong compared to, let's say, NIP. I just think SSG picked a bad map. That is of course my opinion. Um, but as we get into the defense now, NIP is gonna try to hold hookah. You'll be mistaken to think that this is a hookah defense, but it actually isn't. In fact, it is a Biller penthouse defense, and I think the Goyon Castle is really interesting. They do have the Aruni, though they don't have any Jaegers, which is kind of concerning for me personally for the grenades mainly. I feel like the Oryx being switched out for Jaeger would have been better, but I'm not against necessarily anything any Oryx play as long as it's viable, and we don't know yet. Or well, this is being recorded after the game is posted, so I'm not completely sure, and I know the scoreline, and I know that depression is assuming. But I'm just gonna assume that I don't know, but or I'm gonna pretend I don't know. But I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm rambling on this point. My apologies, people. But SSG is trying to counter this. Or not really counter this, but they're trying to come into this and they're trying to like destroy the NIP defense. And talking about destruction, Skies destroys Julio, and that is your Rooney gone. Not necessarily the most important player out there, but Julio is a mechanically gifted player that you want alive to take these gunfights. Unfortunately, he does take the gunfight, but he does lose. But as I say that, Kamikaze also died. He's also someone great, but SSG is just like going into this. There's just a huge trade game basically. It's a 2v2. I don't like as all the rambling. Literally everyone from both sides were like dying and everything. And Pino, Kamikaze, Julio died for NIP side. Fultz, Rampy, Bosco dies for the SSG side. I think this is way more. I don't want to say frustrating in the sense, but this is way more bad for SSG. Just purely not only because they're on the defense, but also because they don't have an Heartbreacher. They don't have any Heartbeat charges. If anything, Rampy had a Heartbeat charges, but that's it. Rampy's dead, and also two people that had grenades that I'm not completely sure they even used it. But let's say if Fultz used maybe one grenade or if Bosco used none, that's all that utility gone. Of course, they do have the Flores, and it's something that you have to take in consideration. But now Skies only have one Flores left. One of them being caught by the Mozzie, that is a fact. But other two, not completely sure what happened to them. Maybe they're just used mainly for intel, but this is definitely favored in my apologies, in NIP's favor though. And as I say that, they do take out Hot and Cold, and Skies is the left remaining player for SSG. He doesn't have the exact intel on the NIP player, and NIP is able to kill every one of SSG, and that is 2-0 for NIP. This is sad. This is sad for an NA boy like me. I also wanted NIP to lose this primarily because so SSG can face against Rogue, and whoever in every single matchup can be like, oh yeah, guess what? Um, if any of these teams got eliminated, then like the region itself is just getting eliminated. Like the chances that the region will have is getting eliminated. Well, I will say right now that NIP's trade game is great. I would also want to say that SSG. I don't know if it's necessarily the intel game. I'm not sure if it's necessarily like I don't know. I don't know. Like SSG just seems to be swinging these things, and just their crosshair is not being exactly where it is. And where it needs to be, and that's usual, yeah. But you have NIP that's just finding their picks and just finding these frags, and SSG is not really expecting it. They're expecting players to be in the exact room, but they don't have the exact intel, and that's fine. But you have to be winning these gunfights. You, like as SSG, you have to be winning these gunfights. Rampage going 0-2. Sure, you have Holland Cole and Fultz that are performing well. I'm not gonna say that they shouldn't be, and you also have guys in Bosco doing something, but Rampy so far isn't doing anything. And to be fair to him, Psycho and Pino hasn't really been doing too much, but they've been also they've been taking these gunfights, to be taking these engagements. At least I believe Psycho got one kill, either in the round that SG got or the round that NIP got. I think the last round, I'm not completely sure. Same thing with Pino. Like you have these mechanically gifted players like Rampy, and he's just not performing well. And um, I think he gave it everything he got in Cosign, or my apologies, in Chalet. I think that's hugely possible. But Psycho, and I believe it is Skies along with Fulls is just waiting. Psycho, he lives. Unfortunately, he could have possibly gotten a double kill right there, taking out Skies, and I believe Bosco, but. Or SSG, they know where NIP Sunrise, or there's a player from NIP playing Sunrise, typically Psycho, and Psycho does have a decent amount of utility. He has two Mozzie passes on him. Both Fultz and Psycho isn't able to hit the shots to kill both of them, but SSG is just trying to fake out these gunfights, I guess you could say, to then surround these players, and Hanako is able to do that. Hanako is able to kill the Sunrise player, and so far NIP is just they've lost the man advantage, and I'm pretty sure this is the third round in a row where they lost man advantage. The thing about it is that they've always been able to trade out like how they did right now, and also if a roamer dies, then it's most likely that they wasted a lot of time. Cycle in the first round, he was able to wasted about 30 seconds worth of SSG's time, and also was able to help kill Skies, who was on the Blitz. This round, you see Cycle holding down Sunrise, and though he died pretty maturely, I mean, he did also waste about 30 seconds. It's not too much, like compared to say a minute. That's like the absolute best if you want roamer to how much time you want roamer to waste. Just a minute, that's a perfect amount of time, but they're able to waste more than about half of a minute. And so far, and also I should also mention that of SSG's utility and even drones, you have to also think about that. But now SSG is trying to attack Kitchen with 50 seconds left on the clock. It's possible for them to do that, but the finger boost comes in. A hot and cold, everyone from SSG comes in. There's a trade game, and NIP is winning it out, but SSG takes it back. There's a 2v2. Case is down, but the remaining NIP players are just coming back to site, and it's not known. It's not like guaranteed that NIP knows where these SSG players are, but Bosco. Oh no. That's such bad timing from Bosco. That I was talking about a little later on, but 2v1 in favor of NIP, but SSG Force is able to take the Muzi out. It's Muzi versus, or my apologies, Julio. It's Muzi versus Falls. Falls is able to get the plant down, and we don't know what's going to happen here. Fultz and Muzi are right next to each other or near each other, but with 35 seconds left on the clock in the post plan, Muzi has to run. Muzi has to go and try to find these kills. It's possible that Fultz will lose this, but no, he doesn't. That is a SSG round 2-2 in the favor of both teams. Now, right there, I want to say real quick, Bosco hitting the Finka surge and then him peeking was just such bad timing, dude. So for those who don't know, after you Finka boost, you can't immediately aim. Then after the Finka boost is activated, you saw that with Bosco right there, right now. I think he saw he would be able to, but it was just more or less bad timing there. If Psycho was able to get guys down to like 30 health, but imagine if NIP, if Psycho was able to kill Skies, how different would that round be? How different would that round be? Because Skies helped in not only being able to kill that guy in, or was able to help in killing that one individual, my apologies, Psycho in Sunrise, by destroying one of the blue bar walls, forcing Psycho and SSG forcing Psycho into playing couch, and then SSG just, and then Sky is shooting at Cycle, getting Cycle's attention, so Han and Cole can then just come right behind him and then shoot him in the back. It's not only that; it's also the gunfight with I believe it was Kamikaze, if not Pino, um whoever was holding sight. Um, maybe yeah, I think it was Kamikaze or Pino, but the one that killed Skies, um Skies was able to put a few decent amount of bullets in him, and also because of the tracers, the I believe was Fultz. Fultz knew where the NIP player was at, and same thing with how Julie was trying to find out SSG or trying to find a pick. Um, they know where SSG is going to come from, but unfortunately SSG, they don't go there. It's a misplay, I should say. And unfortunately wasted nitro there. But speaking of, or talking about what I was gonna say, like Skies did a decent amount there. And it's into a Fultz. Fultz clutched it at the end of the day. It was a really good clutch from Fultz. And I mean, at the end of the day, it just really came down to game sense and gun skill at the end of the day, really. And then who had the better positioning. But Muzi wasn't a disadvantage because he had no health, and Pino hitting the God, that's a nasty shot. That's a really nice shot. He kills Pino is able to kill Fultz. That is the top performer for SSG. But it's not only that; it's also all the grenades and the drone work that you could have done with Iana, all wasted. And Pino, he keeps going on. He just destroys two drones at the same time. I don't know what's going on. He does. He also kills Bosco. I don't even think Bosco was also able to use his utility. Hanako was at the end of the day able to still kill Pino, but Pino not only wasted time, he also killed at the minimum of two drones, maybe even three, and he's also taking full Bosco with down with him, taking down all of that utility that could have been so useful to SSG. And you don't we don't know we don't know what's going to happen after this. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if SSG is going to come back to this. Of course, the main advantage is the NIP, and there's 120 on the clock. There's a decent amount of time for SSG to pull up like that, and it's really hard to say that. It's really hard to say that if SSG is gonna pull this back, but it's completely possible. Of course, Hanako, he tried to find a kill into blue bar, and he's unfortunately unable to. But there's a player from Rampy that's able to find Hanako to refrag. Rampy and Sky, Rampy is like 30 health, Muzi is 20 or 10, but there are two other players that are very high, and that's Rampy, the low health player that dies. It's a 3v1 for Sky. So he has all of his utility in the pocket. He also has a bunch of time left. He does have one drone, but he's going for more of the execute. He is trying to just go in there and just do what he needs to do. He says he's going no, 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 but Kamikaze not being flashed by, and then the Yings takes out Skies, and that will be 3-2 in the favor of NIP. I feel like I'm screaming, and I really shouldn't be because my mom is like pleading with me, shouldn't, but yeah, okay. So far, it's been good, right? It's been good to some extent. Um, I don't have exact details on the stats, and I'll promise you, I don't know if it's gonna be in this major. Maybe it's gonna be for NA. But when I do cast a game, I will have all the details ready for you guys. I think it's gonna be for NA because um I mean, it's not that I don't have time, but I'm also don't want to burn myself out on necessarily R6 stuff, or I should say R6 analyzation. Especially since, well, I'm not doing this as a job. I'm not even getting paid by YouTube. So um, I believe this is tactical timeout though. Both coaches are. Oh no, it's actually tech pause. I saw both coaches were actually talking to their teams. It looked like it. But no, it is a tech pause. I'm not sure for who. And we don't have audio, so that's unfortunate. It'd be great we did. Um, but you can see NIP is talking to themselves. We don't have an SSG cam. We can, that'd be nice. But so far, um, it's just very, I don't know what to say. It's been pretty much in NIP's favor, but SSG's been able to claw back, and um, they've been going back and forth, which is a good thing that you want to see from SSG. You want SSG to go back and forth. You don't want a very dominant, like you don't want SSG to go down lying down. You don't want them to be lying down and taking the punishment. Like, you want them to fight back. You don't want them to be like Oxygen when it comes down to phase, where Oxygen only got 2 rounds in phase. In the 2 games that Oxygen played against phase, they were only able to get 2 rounds on them. That like Oxygen. I don't want to say the guy. I don't want to say you say that they took the punishment lying down, because they're definitely against a hard opponent. And to be fair to Oxygen, they don't have one of their star players, and they're playing with their coach. And not to really say you see their coach is like absolutely garbage, and he should not be a competitive play. But as a pro player, you being a coach, critical say, and player is to some extent similar roles if you're an IGL, but it's completely different when you're in the lobby. For let's say if you're just shredding with your team outside of the game, or even when you're in a custom game, like there's a difference to it. Uh, no matter if it's the different plays that you will make, the game sense that every single player has, or just how the team works. It just there's something different when it comes down to when you're in the lobby compared to, let's say, you shredding. And not every strategy is going to be the best thing in the world. Maybe you think a strategy is great and the strategy isn't actually at that great, but a strategy that could possibly work is SSG having 3 players go VIP hallway. And I believe SSG can claw this round. I believe that it could be a 3-3 for both teams. But so far, Rampy's being the droner for his team, and you can kind of been seeing that consistently. Like this game so far, Rampy's been on a lot of drones, and to be fair, I mean, Rampy's a great player and he's doing his job, but that's just kind of how it is, and it's good to see that if Rampy's not fragging out, he's at least helping his team in the intel department. But there is sightlines made by Hot and Cold in the VIP wall, and Fultz is watching it, and he's gonna try to wait and see if he can possibly catch Julio that is protecting VIP. Rampy is now getting the VIP wall with mad tricking and bucking that's very strong, but in my opinion, not as strong as just bringing them a completely, just bringing a full blown Ceramite charge or Ace charge even. But that's fine, of course. At least we got the wall. But SSG, they do find themselves into Hall of Fame, and I'm guessing they also find themselves into VIP. Julio, I'm guessing, has retreated back to 90 or maybe even Hookah, and SSG is climbing with the defense. They do have a minute and 15 left now, a minute and 10, and they're just trying to gain the intel. Is the good thing is that they're able to use a decent amount of utility before they die, but unfortunately, Sky's on the Ash dies, and I actually didn't even notice that he went Ash. I think it's actually kind of interesting to see that them not bringing a heartbeat or a full blown heartbeat, I should say. But Muzi, it's they do know there's a player in bathroom, and now SSG knows there's a player in 90, but. There's a trade game, and Rampy's able to plant. There's a Nitro Cell going out and for NIP Pino, he's able to kill Rampy that has a diffuser. The last 2 SSG members are trying to attack VIP and trying to take out the VIP and 90 players, but I don't know if it's possible. NIP, they're now just playing safe because they know where the diffuser is. They know that the plant is down. Fultz is just trying to get some intel for his team, and or maybe even bait out. I'm not completely too sure, but it's a 3v2, and I think this is going to go in NIP's favor. But SSG, Hanko has done a lot of crazy things. Fultz is someone who done a lot of crazy things, but he's on 1 health. I don't know if Fultz will be able to do much. But Hanako, he gets 2 kills onto 90. Pino, he kills Fultz, but and there's a 1v1, and Fultz is able, or Hanako is unable to win the gunfight against Goya, who's, I believe, Pino, and that will go into the favor of NIP. A 4-2 split in the first half in favor of NIP. Right there was so close, and you can see like these rounds are not ending. Like the game itself is not ending, but it's also that NIP is, or my apologies, SSG, they're not losing, but they're not losing like lying down. Like they're trying to take this back, and you can see like Pino just winning the gunfight against Fultz, and to be fair, Fultz is very low health, and unfortunately, Pino just was able to find the pick against Hot and Cold, and that'll be around for NIP. But my God, man, I think it is a tactical timeout. I think this time, I might be guessing, might be capping. Um, we wait here, but so far, NIP just especially fragging wise, he's just been very good. They just been letting SSG come into the like coming into their angles. Been letting them just be like, hey, you want try to like come to us? Go ahead, please. For the love of God, do that. And then just finding these picks, and um, they're basically just letting SSG take enough ground for them to kind of feel like they can execute, but not enough ground to the point where they can where NIP cannot do anything, and it seems to be a tactical timeout. Um, Quite unfortunate for them personally, but yeah. So we wait here. I don't really have much to say anymore. Um, so the tech pause is very long, so I guess we might as well entertain. I might as well try to entertain you. Um, so okay, now the tech pause is gone. Okay, okay. Now we see that on the player screens, and it's possible. Oh my gosh, Skies is going to Jonka. No, Skies switches off the Jonka, goes for the Legion. Damn, but NIP is now in their attacking half, and Sky switches out the Legion for a Valkyrie. This is really good so far. It kind of feels like SSG. I don't want to say Intel game, but at the same time, I just feel like SSG is peeking things that they don't really know where it is. It's more or less they're relying more on their game sense in a way to excuse me, to really take these gunfights for, let's say, hardcore Intel. Which, to be fair to SSG, I mean, you can't always have intel. You kind of have to sometimes rely on your game sense, and sometimes you might have the intel on players, but then NIP, or in this case NIP, or just players in general, will like move very quickly, and then um, and then you just kind of get caught off guard. But um, yeah, it's just kind of. But NIP does have a drone in the safe. You actually could see Julio's drone. Um, SSG, they are um. I don't know what to say anymore, really. They're on the back foot. They are not only in round difference, but also um, in map. Since this is the best of three, and I won the previous map, and most likely mental because I mean they don't want to lose this. They don't want to. They don't want to like leave Sweden just yet. They of course want to win this major, and um, I think it's completely possible for them to win this. I want to say this is completely possible, but from the future, I'm just saying this from the future. P wins. I know I'm sad. I'm sad myself. But um, SSG and NIP, they collide with these defensive attacks. I don't really have much to say really, but what I will say is Kamikaze going to be able to get a little hole in the how you say it, the one of the hookah walls, but as I say that, there's a hole in Muzi's head, and Rampy also loses his head as well. It's 2-on-2. Muzi, I think he lost with only using one grenade, but Pino refrags his friend's death, taking out Skies on Kulap stairs, if I believe correctly. Cold is in 90, gonna try to see if he can help the defense for SSG in any way, shape, or form, because it seems like NIP is not going for a horizontal take. It's more or less a hookah and billiard window taken. Psycho using the Gauntlet 6 to kill and finish off on and cold. Quite unfortunate. Kamikaze. He enters into sight with only 112 seconds left on the left. And I think an intel that, or I think there was a drone that called out Bosco, or maybe even Red Ping him. Kamikaze kills Bosco, but the last SSG player dies, and that is a round going to NIP. That is a 8-2, my friends. That is it, or my apologies, a 5-2. That is a 5-2 in favor of NIP. NIP is 2 rounds away um, from winning this entire series. Not only just map, this entire series, dude. I think it's possible for it's a really nice grenade from Pino, but I think it's very possible for SSG to pull back. I don't want to say it isn't necessarily something that they can't pull back too. Yep, the red pings come in. Um, the Float's trying to gain a kill onto anyone into on hookah balcony, but the tracers and kind of the reaction time the nomad player of NIP had was able to kill it was Julio, I believe, that Julio had was able to kill Fultz. And yeah, now SSG, they go back to kitchen. um I don't know if this is necessarily something they've won a lot so far. They've only played coastline once, and I'm pretty sure they have lost this. They've gone to this maybe one time and they've lost, which is quite unfortunate for SSG. But um, SSG just hadn't played this a lot, honestly. Like I don't really feel confident for SSG in this one. I really don't. Um, I think SSG kind of got screwed over by the maps. I think if anything, if maybe if SSG went to Villa, then maybe they could have had more of a chance. But then again, they played Villa against Empire, and they also played Villa I think 2 times in the NAL. But also NIP has played a lot of Villa in the Brazilian league, and also I believe in Copa Elite. Um, but NIP, or I mean, we're still here in Coastline. It's just very unfortunate how the map bans come into more of NIP's favor, if anything. It's the current world champions, great, let's say the previous world champions, but as the current world champions as they are, they drone out, they try to find ground in intel, and Psycho was able to take out probably an important Valkyrie cam for SSG. There is a Malusi chart on the server entrance door, but um, it's completely possible that that Valkyrie game just in itself will probably make it to where NIP has more of a chance of winning this. So the more util that NIP takes out, and the more util that SSG has, either team can win, or the less util that SSG will have, NIP is more likely to win. But Skies does have a really nice camera up to Penthouse, and they do have the intel onto a player in Penthouse, but Skies, he can't Nitrocell or swing this Penthouse player, mainly because there might be someone in the lobby, specifically Lamborghini, and Skies is just feeding intel to his team, that's all. But he's only feeding intel to the player that's upstairs. It's possible that SSG might not even know where everyone else from NIP is. But as I say that, folks, they try to go for a peek onto the Penthouse player, the lobby player, catches him down when he's running down white. Hot and Cold is able to refrag, but not before he's able to lose about 40% of his health. And basically the entirety of NIP, or NIP has basically taken the entirety of second floor. SSG so far only has the first floor to work with, and Hanako, he might retreat. There is 42 seconds left. These roamers are able to waste these amount of time and refrag one of their teammates. But Sky's playing in blue bar door. He's able to kill the player on the Pino. He know Pino was there, at least in penthouse, and that's a good thing. But Hanako, maybe from a call or so, kills Julio, and Julio just peeking and not being able to win the gunfight. All the gunfights are going in favor of SSG. It's 3v1 that Muzi, and then SSG, all of SSG swarms Muzi, and that'll be around in favor of SSG side. At 5-3 now, it's possible that SSG can come back, but I believe that SSG can come back. So that round there mainly came down to the frags. That was fundamentally, like as Bikini Bodies basically said, Chalet, and even this game is pretty much just fundamental siege. Straight up, just fundamental siege, right? And unfortunately, folks didn't get the memo that there's a player outside of lobby or possibly lobbying. To be fair, I don't really necessarily blame him, but Skies and Han and Cole just being able to find these picks along with Rampy, um, and that's a really good thing. And though yeah, NIP did had intel on a few SSG players. It was more or less of old intel that, I mean, yeah, they're still in that general vicinity, but they could have easily moved. They could have been like, okay, um, it's possible that these players might not have the exact intel that they did. They'll have more of a chance of winning gunfights. I know this mainly because I'm someone who calls out for my team a lot, and I usually like Z ping or yeah, I usually like Z ping or just give out like say call outs to where players on the enemy team comes from, and my teammates and kill them. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I'm not really that great of a player. But if someone like me is able to use intel effectively to help my teammates get kills, I mean, what can these top level players can do? And we know what these top level players can do. We know what they're capable of. And I mean, so far we've seen this. Chalet. I mean, that was like what 7-5. This can possibly be also in itself a 7-5 or maybe a 6-8-7. We're not completely too sure. We do. We do. But NIP, they do try to go for a second floor clear. They try to go through VIP and white first, though. And they're able to take the ground very early, mainly because there's just no one from SSG that's covering penthouse, which is fair. And SSG and NIP are just feeding each other information, trying to see where they can do, or what they can do. If you can actually see on the side of SSG actually has 3 bulletproof cams along with those 2 mirrors, and then the default cams. I mean, that's a decent amount of intel depending on where every single piece of utility is placed and where NIP goes, of course. But so far, there's a mirror window protecting Biller, and there's also a rooming gate on the hookah balcony door. And so far, just been Pino holding an angle, just trying to find if they can find a rotating SSG player, but so far the rest of NIP is trying to take second floor, and Pino does see someone, I think that is hot and cold, but he's unable to find the pick, and that's fine because he does know that there's a player so, there is a player that is Vase, but SSG, they also know there's a player repelling up and Fultz lose a little bit of his health. That's quite unfortunate, but Pino has to worry about 2 things. He has to worry about the mudroom window and also the any players coming from hookah window. And Hanako is able to get the kill on Muzi. I believe Muzi used up to both his grenades, so that's something. But NIP Cycle, he refracts and kills Skies on that mute. Skies is now on the intel, mainly the bulletproof ham. But Psycho is trying to use these grenades to find the picks, but Jaeger ADSers are zapping them out every single way. Julio, he's in the Aqua, but he dies from Fultz. That's a good pick from Fultz, but there's still a player on Hookah Repel. Fultz didn't really take that into account, and well, that's a kill for NIP. But SSG, Rampy, he kills everyone on NIP's side. I apologize for not taking that, putting all of that information out, but SSG was just able to find the picks. They forced NIP to come down to try to execute, because I believe it was like the last 5 seconds left between that time, and NIP was forced to basically kind of funnel in through one singular door, or funnel in through one singular door, and unfortunately for Muzi, he just got got caught off by Han Cold. Same thing with Sky though, and Fultz. But Rampy is able to get the 2 necessary picks that his team needs. Hot and Cold and Rampy is just doing good work for their team. False is also doing good work for their team as well. He's able to get the kill on Julio on the Nomad playing Aqua, and if Julio was allowed to play on or play in hookah, or my apologies, in Aqua, and go into Biller along with someone on the hookah window, it's possible that I think it's Hot and Cold that was playing pink bar, the little couches that is in hookah. You never knew that behind the bar like area. pink bar, I do believe that it's possible that that player could have died and the round was swinged in favor of NIP. Um, it's completely possible. Rampy, hot and cold, and Fultz doing their job. I'm a little bit worried about Skies and Bosco. I don't think Bosco. I think Bosco got maybe 2-3 kills. Um, for this entire game. But to be fair, it's fair. He is one of the support players, if I believe correctly. One of the content pieces that SSG did was that Bosco is actually the defense strategist. These are my apologies. The IGL, the defense strategist, does not make any sense. The IGL of Skies when it comes down to defense, and Skies is the just more general IGL. But Kamikaze, if he's the IGL on anything, he's the IGL using the flashes because he just use all of his flashes to flash anyone who's in cool vibes to also destroy the ADSs that are protecting anyone who is in base. They do get grenades through, and they're not able to kill anyone, but they are able to destroy a mute jammer, allowing them to drone in base now. Um, but SSG, they do know there's possibly someone playing Aqua, and they do know there's at least at the minimum 2 players on Hookah balcony. Maybe another one on Hookah or outside of Mudroom, but I think it's also possible that NIP also knows there's someone in Sunrise. There's now someone in Aqua, non-biller. Twitch is able to just walk in through sight, but hot and cold. That basically SSG just baited out. They're like, okay, you want to take this for free? Go ahead, take this for free. But we're just gonna kill you with a nitro cell. You want playing? We're gonna kill you with a nitro cell. And fortunately for SSG, hot and cold was able to get the frag with a nitro cell, but Rampy's also able to win this gunfight against Julio. That is a Sunrise player and your Nomad player dead, and that's also a really good player gone as well. SSG in a 5v3. The favor is of course in SSG, but Kamikaze is in Aqua, and along with Muzi, and SSG is able, or Hot and Cold is able to kill both Muzi and Kamikaze with good headshots. Pino, he's on Hookah balcony, and he does find a frag onto Rampy. He does kill Rampy, but unfortunately for NIP, he did lot NIP. Kamikaze had the diffuser, and um Hot and Cold was able to just win his gunfights really, and I think he took out yeah, he was able to win the gunfight with Muzi and Kamikaze. 2 headshots going in the favor of Hot and Cold and Pino. 30 seconds left on the clock. He could do something. He does have 2 drones, so with the possible drones that his teammates set up, but it's unlikely. He is in a 1v4. We have seen crazier things, but a lot of times that we've seen crazier clutches, we have seen them mainly be on defense, especially from SSG. SSG winning a 1v5 clutch. Our foes actually getting an ace clutch on the fence against Team Empire in the first game on Villa, and then Rampy after, and literally a round after, was able to get a 1v4 clutch when he was in a 1v5, I should say. But Pino, he uses the 30 seconds or so that his team, that the round had, to maybe find a pick or two. But besides that, just allow his team to talk about what happened and how the round fall apart. And um, there's an unofficial attack pause. It's kind of like techno pauses where the teammates are able to do something, and that's a really good nitro from Hardcore. The intel that Sky is able to feed to his teammates is amazing, and this is something that we need from SSG. We need that intel. And to be fair, Pino died, or Pino killed Rampy when Rampy didn't really expected Pino to be on Hookah balcony, and that's a lot. That's a lot of ways how Rampy, or not Rampy, just SSG in general has died. If you want to look at Chalet, I remember actually, I believe it was Julio, funny enough, actually killing Bosco and dining, and Bosco just running into Fireplace, and he didn't really know where Julio was, and Julio was just able to get a free pick. NIP feeling like they're getting these freebies, and they were getting these freebies in Chalet, though SSG was able to keep it close, and SSG, they've just won 3 rounds in a row in tack pause coming in from NIP's coach. They're like, okay, boys, um, they're most likely like, okay, what happened? All right, what can we really realistically do? Like, how are they doing this, right? And that's just kind of how it is in terms of. I guess I don't really know how to say it, but um, I do believe the tag pause is talk about was actually really quick. It was kind of a short one. It's kind of in a way to reset the mental maybe and to make it to where it's like, okay, chill out, guys. Just kind of get your thoughts back, right? Just take some time to get your thoughts back, which is always a good thing. Last attack pause for NIP gone, and NIP was leading by 3 rounds, and SSG was able to bring that back, and with pretty like consistent and dominant like rounds. The drones and or my apologies, the cameras in SSG favor, I think, and along with the correlations is amazing. Skies is able to feed that amount of information away, or I'm sorry, feed a decent amount of information for SSG and all the good player, or not the good players because all these players are good, but all of the highly performing players like Hot and Cold, like Rampy, like Fultz, right? Um, Unfortunately, NIP is just like getting stalled out. SSG is kind of forcing that on NIP to be fair to them. But now we are in round 11th. Whoever wins this takes the match point, and I'm not sure who's going to take this because I think it's been a pretty even split. I think even though that I think NIP will still win this at the end of the day, they do. Um, I think SSG will make it to where it's close. I don't think like SSG is not a team that you want to tread lightly, because if you do tread lightly, they're gonna punish you for that, and they'll possibly take a win from you. But Pino, along with some intel, most likely from I said the Kamikaze, was able to get frag onto our frag grenade kill onto Han and Cole, who I believe was holding base. But the Cool Vibes player for SSG also falls. So the entirety of Hookah is undefended besides anyone who's in Billard, but Skies and Bosco is playing 90 in Penthouse, and the last SSG player is currently unknown. We're gonna get a replay of that actually. Pino gets a kill onto Hot and Cold. Muzi gets a kill onto onto the Cool Vibes player of SSG. It's a 5v3 currently right now. 140 or 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock. So NIP does have a bunch of time. They're probably just slowing down to see how much intel they can get and see how much ground they can take. Free ground, I should take that. SSG just can't hold because SSG can only hold so much with only 3 players, and even it's the same case with 5. But Pino, Muzi, and I believe Kamikaze, 5 of them or 3 of them, they rotate to VIP to try to take VIP. They're most likely one to collide with these penthouse players, primarily so they can try to take them out and make sure that they will no longer be a threat, no matter if it's pushing them down, pushing them back to site, and then letting someone like Psycho or Julio possibly even killing them. And Rampy is watching the flank for the Rampy in Bosco, but so far, Psycho and the entirety of NIP is preparing to surround the entirety of SSG. And this might look bad for SSG, but there's 40 seconds left on the clock. All SSG needs to do is just wait 40 seconds left. And Bosco, he has 3 cancers. And mind you, this is a penthouse take. So it's possible that that Bosco is will be able to waste enough time just with those cans, and Psycho is able to kill Rampy by knocking him, then finish him off with a grenade. Um, Bosco unfortunately is a very aggressive and takes a gunfight with a player in VIP, but there's a player from Hookah that peeks and kills Bosco, and then Skies just dies, and well, that was pretty much a round for NIP. A lot of people will say that NIP will easily win that round, but unfortunately, quite literally, unfortunately for SSG, they weren't able to do it much. No, it was actually kind of funny because I thought that was a hookah defense. I don't know why I thought it was a hookah defense. I thought it was a hookah defense. Unfortunately, the ADS just like the ADS was burnt by the flashes, and then the frag just barely rolling, just enough to Hot and Cold to where Hot and Cold will definitely die, and Forces or NIP is just finding all of these frags, and um, I don't know what Hanko or not even Hanko. I keep saying Clear D. My apologies. I don't know what SSG can really do at this point. I don't know if SSG can stay here and just be like, yeah, we're gonna do this now and murder you. Like I don't know. Like NIP so far has just been making the tempo by getting these first kills. They're forcing SSG to either play aggro, and if they play aggro, guess what? NIP is ready because they're playing with the buddy system. If one dies, the other one is literally right next to the guy that just died, that will no doubt get the frag. That will almost no doubt get the frag. Of course, that doesn't always happen, I should say. If we want to look at the previous round, that SSG was able to win. I believe it was the last round that SSG was able to play when they were defending Hookah, and Han Code was able to get 2 kills onto Kamikaze and Muzi. It was a buddy system, but Han Code was just able to hit his shots mainly because Muzi was more or less guessing. At least that's what I'm guessing. I don't think NIP had the intel onto anyone from White Stairs, top White Stairs, but I guess he was just guessing just in case. And unfortunately, Hanako was there, and Hanako was able to just react better and all that. But that was the previous round. We're now in the current round with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Moose is able to find his way in the kitchen. This is a blue bar defense. Kitchen is important, but it's possible that SSG and realistically any team can possibly stall this out depending on how both the attacking and defending team plays their rounds and play with their teammates and their core team. I'm sorry, play with their utility and maybe them winning certain gunfights. But so far, SSG is able to keep office. Is only NIP being able to take kitchen side, and I think that's an extension of penthouse because from my understanding, there's no one in penthouse, but I do think there's anyone in hookah in a biller. There's about 2 roamers and 3 anchors, so that's a nice thing, or at least 3 roamers and 2 anchors, or at least a lurker. But NIP with 1:35 seconds left on the clock, they do try to Kamikaze does try to put some of his pellets onto the wall through or between Mudroom and Sunrise, and I mean that's fine because I mean you're making sightlines, you're making sightlines for your team, but remember you're also making sightlines for the enemy. But depending on where the pellets are and how the players are positioned, it might be something that would be more in favor of NIP than SSG. But it depends on more or less situational um, or depends on more or less the situation. With only a little bit over a minute left on the clock, NIP still has a decent amount of time, but around the 20 to even 30-second clock, NIP has to kind of look to execute. And good thing is that Kamikaze is throwing flashes, but Skies he's peeking the sunrise window, and he does find Kamikaze. Luckily for Fultz, he's able to catch Muzi and catch in hallway. Hanako is able to kill Pino, and all the fracture going in favor of SSG. But Julius, he tries to stop the bleeding, stops to make this where NIP has more of a chance. But Bosco finished Psycho off in a 4v1. We have seen this before, and I don't think Julio is gonna clutch this. Maybe get a frag or two, but with 20 seconds left on the clock and counting, not 15, in the future down and everything, and SSG just holding their ground. I don't think it's possible for NIP to do anything. I don't think it's possible for NIP to win this round, and this will be a round win in favor of SSG. Luckily for Julio, he does kill Han and Cold, but I believe it's Bosco or Rampy that does kill Julio. So now it's 6-6. We're in overtime now. SSG's been able to activate overtime, and it seems like at least Rampy's in a good mood. I'm not sure about Fultz or Bosco or even Skies, but so far, people. Basically back and forth, back and forth. If there's a time where SSG or NIP is very dominant, it's most likely that SSG or the another team will then win chained rounds, right? We saw this with Chalet, we're now seeing this Coastline. NIP was able to win, I believe, in Coastline 3 rounds in a row, 4 rounds in a row. And then guess what? Same thing with SSG. They're able to win, shoot 2-3 rounds in a row, but unfortunately for SSG, that's a really nice shot by Rampy, by the way. But unfortunately for SSG, they won against 7-5. They weren't able to win that one round that allowed them to go to overtime. Fortunately for them on Coastline, SSG was able to. It seems like SSG is a little more of a better Coastline team compared to, let's say, Chalet, but so far, so far, um, we've seen this. I don't know what to say, but um, we've seen this before. SSG going to overtime, and SSG's been able to win a lot of their overtime games, but the overtime games that they've lost, and I shouldn't say a lot of their overtime games, because I believe they only won one overtime game so far. The only overtime game the 2 overtime games they lost was against Furia The thing about it is that this max overtime. My apologies was Fury and down with Kia. Fortunately for SSG, it was a max overtime round, so they're able to get 1 point to allow them to make it out of the group stage and into the playoffs. But so far, I mean, SSG is a not necessarily the best overtime team, but um, I mean they're against Downwind Kia, who's arguably the best um, APAC team going into this event, and now they're the only APAC team that's in this event. Them winning against Sandbox earlier on, first match of the day, I believe it is. But SSG being the last hope for NA, it's very worrying for them. I'm kind of worried for Damwon Kia in the sense of that now the entire region is kind of relying on their shoulders. You know that they're basically the last hope for APAC to win an event. But they're but if NIP does win this game, it's possible that there'd be two chances that Latam would get to win this event since phase earlier on. I believe was the last matchup before this matchup was able to win against I think it was BDS. There you go. But NIP, they also have won against BDS. They won 1-1 for BDS, and SSG is now going, or well now Hanako is going 1-0, for the round count. Or for the round this round. I can't. I'm repeating myself. My apologies. But NIP has made good work. The NIP has made some good work. With 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock, they're able to take the entirety of second floor. But now they're trying their best to take first. They do have a decent amount of time, but like I said, at last round, around the 20-second, 10-second round or seconds left on the clock, you have to go and you have to execute. And it seems like NIP is readying themselves to execute despite them losing cycle, despite them losing that twitch that's arguably very important. Muzi is able to refrag on the Holland Cold. I'm pretty sure they've lost lobby control because of Holland Cold's death, and it's a good thing, but there is a player insecurity, and Bosco is protecting server entrance. So lobby is not completely gone, but NIP Muzi or Muzi NIP currently holds it very well. It is a kitchen kitchen it is a kitchen defense, so it is a good thing for NIP. But Bosco is in a very tricky situation. Pino is able to kill Rampy, who I believe was in security. If not, that was Fultz. But Skies is able to refract into Julio. Muzi is able to kill Fultz in security, and also Skies. But Bosco in a 2v1 situation, Kamikaze, he's planning. They don't know where Kamikaze is, but they know where. But NIP now knows where the last SSG player is. Is it going to be very difficult for Bosco, just primarily because of the health he is at? But it's possible for him. He doesn't have any smoke base. He doesn't have any intel, and he doesn't have any util. And NIP has all the intel on them, and that's a round for NIP. That is a 7-6 favored in NIP. The momentum is in favor of NIP now, just purely because they have that 1 round win over SSG. This is, if NIP wins this, the game that will make NIP go to the semifinals, and they will be facing against, I believe, Rogue. If SSG is able to win the next 2 rounds, they will be able to go to map 3, which I believe is Oregon. And then right there, I think it's a good map for SSG. I think SSG has a decent amount of plays on it. I know they played about 3 times in the NEL, and they're a pretty good team on Oregon, all things considering. But so far, NIP's just been very good. I don't want to say NIP's been very dominant. It's been very much back and forth. SG is still a good team, but are they able to close it out? I'm not completely too sure. But you can see the smiles on NIP's faces, all of the players of NIP, and the smiles on their face. You could tell that they're very happy. And so far, um, it's overtime match point. So far, Bosco and Fultz hasn't really been doing that great. In the first half, they were doing fantastic. They're doing pretty good. Bosco wasn't doing too much. Same thing with Fultz, I should say. But Holland Cold and Rampy in the first half, they were doing really good on their defense. Second half, they're still doing really good. Fultz was able to do a decent amount of work for his team. Same thing with Skies, but so far, unfortunately, they kind of just False doesn't really have that much oomph, as you can say, and that's a really nice Valkyrie cam from Psycho. Valkyrie cam that will give intel to anyone who's playing VIP, but also maybe playing hookah. And I should say right now the opera lineup is Sledge, Buck, Scott, or Sophia, or Sophia. Sky is on Sophia, but Pino, he was peeking through the kitchen drone hole and catches Bosco off guard. Bosco is just not having a good game. I don't think he was having a really good game back in Chalet. He's just not having a good game now. It's quite unfortunate, but SSG it's on the back foot. NIP does have the man advantage, but it's possible for SSG to pull it back. I don't think Rampy's took out the Valkyrie cam. I'm not completely too sure, but NIP is able to take out a drone, and the drone economy is losing. And Skies, I don't know what happened. Well, I think Skies was trying to make a hole into Skies was trying to make a hole into server entrance, and then Pino just caught him off guard. That's really unfortunate for Skies. Skies also hasn't been really doing having the best game in the world, but Rampy finds himself into VIP. I believe Musi is 90, and Han and Code might be following suits of Rampy. But Rampy doesn't know where Musi is. He doesn't know if he's in 90 or if he's in Hall of Fame. He doesn't know. But the site is downstairs, mind you. It's in Blue Bar, I believe, and um, I should know it's in Blue Bar, and Muzi and Rampy is just kind of dancing. Muzi kind of wait for Psycho to kind of peek with Muzi, but Rampy ultimately peeks Muzi first and kills him. That's a man taking back for that's a man advantage going to still on the side of NIP, but it's less. I don't want to say it's big. It's not as big as before where SG was in the 5v3, but with 55 seconds left on the clock, it's possible for SSG to lose this and to fall short, but it's also possible that, especially with a vertical play, if Rampy's able to get a kill on Kamikaze, he's unable to, but if Rampy was able to get a kill on the Kamikaze, that's a smoke gone, and that's also a player that, though it hasn't been doing too good in this half, the last half was doing pretty okay, and Hanako is outside of Mudroom. He throws a grenade. He tries to enter into Mudroom, and Rampy and Hanako is able to go into Mudroom, but I'm saying Mudroom. I'm saying it like a lot. But Julie is able to find a kill onto Rampy. That's the diffuser drops. As she knows on false, my apologies. But Psycho, with barely any ammo in his gun, is able to kill, or my apologies, knock Hanako. And Julia with a frag from Sunrise Bar, and that is a win for NIP. NIP will be going to the semifinals facing Rogue. And now we have all our contestants for the semifinals. Of course, NIP versus Rogue, but also FaZe versus Downwind Kia. Latam now has two chances to win not only another major, but it is also that NIP can win a major, win something that's big, something that they haven't win since Sixth Invitation 2021. They weren't able to make it into the Mexico Major. They weren't able to get out of the group stages for the Mexico Major. But they come in, they get out of their groups along with BDS. They beat the org. I want to say the team. They beat the org that made it to where they're only second place for. I'm gonna stop talking. But anyway, I hope you guys like this video. My apologies for the little discussness. Parker and Pingy, low key, no cam, no Dr. Seuss, but I need something. But anyway, I hope you guys like this video. My apologies for not uploading too much. I will be trying to upload a little bit more. Maybe I'll do more. Maybe I'll try to do an entire analyzation of the entirety of the one of the, I think it was the max overtime game of Team 1 versus World. I'm not completely sure on that, but I'll see you guys later. I hope you guys have been having a good day so far. If you haven't, my apologies. But anyway, like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And my name has been Life. Remember, this is the weirdest content that you see on YouTube, and that's factual. Peace.